first of two Voices panels I'm hosting at this convention featuring people who do wonderful things with their mouths. My name is Mark Evanier. I direct cartoon voices for a living, among other things I do. Save it for the people doing the heavy lifting here. And every year I ask some of the best people in the business to come down and show you what they do and how they do it. And we have 6 terrific people here. We have another batch tomorrow and another panel I'll tell you about later. Let me introduce to you, first of all, this end, a lady who is on about 43 shows at the moment. She's on the Fairly Odd Parents. She's on Scooby-Doo these days. Every so often, because the day off, I get her to come over and do the Garfield show. This is Miss Grey DeLisle. Equally busy, this gentleman is on the Teen Titans show. He was on the new Johnny Quest when they did it. He's on Batman, Brave and Bold a lot. This is Mr. Scott Menville, ladies and gentlemen. This next gentleman has an impressive list of credentials on the Broadway stage and film and stuff. We don't care about on camera. We only care about voiceover. He stole a movie called The Princess and the Frog. This is Mr. Michael Leon Woolley. If you were to hear a little while ago for the Marvel presentation, you heard this gentleman's voice coming out of the mouths of many of the Marvel superheroes, including he's on the Ultimate Spider-Man, quite a few of their shows. He's also heard of the Family Guy a lot. This is Mr. Dave Vogt. One of the many talents on Kung Fu Panda, Legends of Awesomeness. She's on the Wolverine and X-Men show. This is Kari Wahlgren. On half the Marvel shows, including the Avengers, on Justice League Unlimited, frequently on the Mad Show on Cartoon Network. This is Mr. Christopher Cox. Panelists, we're going to start with Grey. We'd like you to tell us the voices you do these days that people are the most excited to hear. You will then demonstrate the voices for them. And then I will ask each of you to tell me something obscure you did, some voice, and this can be a voiceover, a commercial, a looping job, a dubbing job, anything. That just the first part will do cartoon voices, but at the end, tell us some place where we heard your voice and didn't know it was you. Let's start with cartoons, Grey.
My favorite character is Azula from Avatar. I'm glad my cousins showed up today. You shan't be banished, I guess. And I also do Daphne on Scooby-Doo. It's a creepy mystery, Scoob. And I do the Ice Queen on Adventure Time. And those are my top 3 favorites. I'm also doing the mom on Sanjay and Craig. I don't know if anybody's watching that, but it's really funny and it's on Nickelodeon. And Sanjay, you're driving me crazy. And the most obscure thing I did was I played Jennifer Aniston's cat on Friends. That hairless cat, the one, and she thought it was saying her name, so it said, Rachel, Rachel, Rachel. I saw her once and I geeked out and was like, I was your cat, I'm your cat, I was your cat, and she was just like, crazy person. Then I thought, that was stupid, that wasn't what you should open with. Anyway. Now Scott's turn.
Give us something obscure, something
obscure?
Something obscure, come on. Some looping job you did.
I've never looped,
Some commercial?
Commercials. I did Caboodle's Beauty Organizers and that was my first voiceover job was the voice of Caboodle's Beauty Organizer. I was doing this Just Say No thing for Nancy Reagan and I could talk really fast. I was playing this character named Candy who was like into drugs and alcohol. And it's awful. Oh my gosh. Well, when Blockbuster was open, there was a free section that you could, and I think you could still see it on YouTube. It's really embarrassing. It's like, don't say yes, 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 yes. Just say no, 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 no. It was just awful. Anyway, but the director of that, somebody was looking for a girl who could talk fast that was in her teens, and so he said, great, you should do it. So I did it, and I made $800, and I was like, oh my God, this is the job for me. I bought this 65 Mustang that rats were living in it, and it was just awful, and we restored it. It took a really long time, but we restored it. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Greg.
Thanks.
Let's see if there are any Ben 10 fans. I recur on Ben 10 as Ginny Jones, Mr. Tennyson. They're aliens. Randy Cunningham, 9th grade ninja. I recur as Bucky, the guy in the band who's always playing the triangle. Don't pick on me, guys. And let's see.
The flute girl.
That's right.
The flute girl and Bucky are reunited.
Didn't we kissed on one? I think Bucky kissed Flute
And they've
Girl.
got like really, really crazy braces. Sorry, it's not my turn.
Her braces make her hot.
I didn't even know that you were
Would
that.
you demonstrate, if you come to a part of the script where it says to kiss, what sounds do you make?
What else? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I recur, there's a show within a show that one of the turtles watches, Leonardo watches. It's like a bad sci-fi show. So I'm the character on that. Who's always saying, I'm blanking, I don't know, we're gonna be doomed! Or something like that. And for all you Teen Titans fans, I play Robin on Teen Titans Go! Titans, we've got trouble at Comic-Con. Slade. Titans, go! And, what's that? I'm on it, Robin. Yeah! An obscure job. Let's see, the movie that came out, The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. When it got to post-production, he was not available. He was probably shooting his next big thing. And they needed somebody to match his voice for fight efforts and breaths. So I did a lot of running and fighting. So when you watch the movie, some of what you hear is Andrew Garfield doing his fight efforts, and some of what you hear is me, and some you don't hear at all because of big sound effects and music. So there you go.
Okay, great. Thank you, Scott. Michael.
Hey, I'm Michael Leon Woolley. I'm the voice of Louis the Alligator in The Princess and the Frog. It's like, I want to be human too, so I can play jazz with the big boys. And I'm also Impossible on The Bravest Warriors. Also Batman, The Brave and the Bold. I'm Calabac and his father Darkseid. I can't remember. And also, on a side note, on Broadway, I was the voice of the plant Audrey 2 in Little Shop of Horrors. And I don't know if any of you play a game called World of Warcraft, but I'm the voice of Deathwing on that. And yes, a lot of commercials you hear me on. Something obscure. Once in New York City, I was, this is a few years ago, I was asked to do a demo for an Amco commercial. And I was, the only time I've ever been asked to be white before. And I get there and they're like, Michael, it's really simple. We just need you to say 4 words, but we need you to be very white. And I was like, okay. And so I go in the booth and they show the commercial and the words come up and I go, Amco for the love. They look at me like I'm crazy. And they come on and say, what are you doing? You can do better than that. And I was like, okay. So take 2, they show the commercial again and I go, Amco for the love. And now in the booth I see the Amco people getting upset and the advertising people getting upset. And this woman comes on and goes, what are you doing? And I say, listen, I don't know how to be very white. And she goes, no, I said very white. Worked for 30 minutes. We got ourselves together and I went in the booth and I said, Amco for the love. Commercial ran for 2 years with very white voice on it. You'll be telling that story later, I guarantee you, at least twice.
That is the best story we've ever had on this panel. Dave, you want to follow that?
Sure. Yeah, good luck. Hi, my name's Dave. Let's see. Well, lately a lot of Marvel superhero stuff. On the superhero squad show up. It was Thor, the mighty Thor. He had
I
his
was Miss
problems.
Marvel.
Yes, you were Miss
It's a
Marvel.
reunion with everybody.
We compared hair dudes. And also Thing and Trapster. On Family Guy, the one small recurring role I have has been the voice of Rupert the teddy bear. Whenever Stewie has his interesting fantasies about Rupert. That is me. Gee. Actually, it's a PG audience. We can't go too far there. But trust me, that's me. Buy the DVD, you'll figure it out. Video game stuff. In Call of Duty 2, the zombie section, I am presently the Stullinger, the kind of whacked out CIA guy. He seems to talk rather excitedly all the time. He's always worried. And nothing's ever good. Oh, good, here we go. Is that a big enough gun? I don't care, shoot it. And I actually found 25 minutes of me non-stop on YouTube of just that character. I wore out after about 3 minutes. It's not really worth it. It's like, God, the guy's always yelling.
I'm on that video game with you, and my character hates your character.
Yes, that's right. We hate each other, but we love each other in real life. Obscure. I did speaking of commercials, I was the voice of Yaris cars for about 4 years. And it was 3 words, and it took about 15 minutes to do, and it paid me for 3 years. But it was Yaris from Toyota. And I was imitating I have a doctor who's from South Africa, my general physician, and it was the hard T that got me the job, apparently, Toyota. Nobody else had done that. So write that down. In any event, pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Dave.
Well, I'm Kari Walgren, and we're thanks, guys! Oh my gosh! That's the greatest thing to hear. Wow, I'm kind of blushing. You took me out of my game here for a second.
All right, Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I just got so overwhelmed. Me? Oh my So I played Little Susie on Phineas and Ferb.
So, Candace, we meet again. There's only room for one little girl in Jeremy's life, and that's me, little Susie.
I play Tigress on Kung Fu Panda Legends of Awesomeness. Oh, if you would just shut your mouth for one moment, maybe we could defeat the bad guys. And for those that watch the show, actually I do a lot of the other incidental characters, so Mrs. You, the little old goat that pops up from time to time, is me.
And Liam, who's in his fan club, is also me. I love you.
And did anybody watch Archer? I must be aware that many members of my audience may be under 18 years of age, but Anka in Archer was me. Oh, Archer, I love you so much. Anka was underage too. So yeah, that was me. I can't really go into more detail because some of my people are underage. And I guess the youngest character I'm doing right now is on Henry Hugglemonster for Disney Junior, and I am Baby Ivor, so...
Hello.
Hi. Didn't go for the British, that's cool. My name is Chris Cox, and thank you. Thank you. And that's not a relative of mine either. I'm probably currently most well known for having played the character of Hawkeye in Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Thank you. I don't have the photographic memory of my peers, so I have crib notes. So I'm going to give you a couple of lines as Hawkeye. What changed is we just came in and saved Wakanda from an alien invasion. You're welcome, by the way. Hey, Green, nice shorts. Tick, tick, boom. Listen, Bigfoot, if you don't give me Bruce Banner in the next 3 seconds, bottom line, I'm taking you down. I also played some incidental roles, including one of my favorite, just very brief incidental, but was Fandral, the Asgardian warrior, member of the Warriors 3. Traitors! We will never bow to Loki. I'm also in the Mad cartoon series, and very appropriate for under 18. This is very, very clean. I played Denzel Washington and Thomas the... I got to play a black guy. I do that sometimes, but I played Denzel Washington and Thomas the Unstoppable Tank Engine. We gotta stop this train. We gotta stop it now. If you don't stop this train, you're going to be trouble. You don't get into trouble. Not up in here. Oh, no, not today. I also played Lightning McQueen, a.k.a. Owen Wilson. Hey, man, you do have to stop that train. It's going to hit me. I'm stuck on the track. And I also played, my favorite was playing, they did a parody of Winnie the Pooh on that I really enjoyed, where it was called Pooh Grit. Thought that was a clever title. Yeah, Christopher Robin
I was
once...
Christopher Robin.
Yeah, Christopher Robin once... You were Christopher Robin?
I'm like,
Christopher Robin? Oh my gosh, you were also Mandy, and Billy and Mandy were...
Go ahead,
I was
go ahead.
Principal Good Vibes. Oh, Mandy! You're just so cute! It's not my fault, it's glandular.
Graham, you're annoying me, and you're annoying me too. Principal Good Times.
But I played Pooh Bear, and he said to the kid, he wants to get Tigger. He comes to him to get Tigger, and Pooh Grit says,
Sorry, son, I can't help you. Oh, mother. Oh, for a jar of honey, I might.
Last little thing, I do a bunch of stuff for family. Oh, I was Garen Paddock in Gears of War, which is I like my enemies like I like my toast, burned to a crisp. Okay. I do a bunch of Family Guy stuff. I played George Bush in Family Guy. I also played, you remember him? The most recent one, not the older guy. Although I could do him too, but we won't go there. Not gonna do it. And then I also played President Obama on American Dad. The poop in the pool episode. Finally, my obscure thing is I'm the voice. If you ever go to Tokyo and you go to Disney Tokyo and you buy Toy Story Mania, and I had to use YouTube for this. I didn't remember what I said. Don't forget your belongings. Watch your step as you exit the gate train, and please come back later.
Against your race. Like, I was playing this very large black woman and having a fantastic time because it was a really low budget thing, and I was playing like a kid and a dog and a lady, and they're like, can you play this lady too? I was like, yes, and I was just getting so into it. I was like, we got to get out of here. I don't know nothing about that. Come on. I was having a lot of fun until the black man that was going to play my husband showed up, and then it just changed. Like, and they were going, Gray, you're not doing it like you were. And I was like, what? Before, and I was like, I'm sassy? Like, I was so cool about it. Like, go ahead, I already heard you. I came in, I heard you. Just go for it. I was like, okay, I'm sorry, I feel weird.
Panelists, I would like you briefly, each of you tell us about the day you decided you wanted to do voices. Suddenly you said, I'd like to be a voice person. Great. What was that?
I've been doing them since I was a tiny girl. It was about finding out that you could make a living that way, because otherwise I was just this annoying person most of my life until I was like, this pays money being annoying? Let's sign me up for that. But when I was little, I used to, my mom and I would make didn't have a lot of money, but my grandma had this little tape recorder, and I would just entertain myself all day, just
Just doing little voices like this, and we're gonna go to the movies, and my mom and I would do it together about these two little girls that were going to the movies.
you know, and so I did that a lot, and that can get grating. But so then when I did the commercial, I was like, wait, you can do cartoon voices too? And I used to do impressions. I would like learn impressions on like Johnny Carson, like when they would have the comedian on, I would do the whole act of the comedian for my mom when she was blow drying her hair in the morning, because I would kind of stay up late, learn it, and then do it for her. And so I did the whole Wizard of Oz. Like in high school, at my reunion, they still call me Dorothy. They're like, Dorothy, Dorothy, because I did the Wizard of Oz all the time. I was like, I want to go home. I want to go home. And I'm Uncle Henry, I'm frightened. Are you complete? I'm a bad witch. I'm not a witch at all. I'm just a little girl. It's all right. It's all right. Do my own conductor to think. As mayor of Munchkin City, in the county of the land of Oz, I want to do she is Dorothy, as good on it, I vote for it, I vote You killed my sister! Was it you? I didn't mean to kill anybody. I didn't mean to kill anybody.
Would the representative of the room, in charge of the room, come and see me for a second about something? Scott, tell us who decided you wanted to do this.
I can't say there was actually a decision. My dad was a producer and a writer.
His father was one of the best writer-producers in the business, and a good friend of mine years ago. A lot of the great shows of Filmation, like he did the Groovy Ghoulies,
The Ghoulies,
things like
Fat
that.
Albert, he did several seasons of The Smurfs and Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah, it was the team of
Chuck Menville was my dad.
Len Jan.
Len Jan.
Everybody always reversed them. What happens with teams? And he was a really good guy. Anyway.
Thank you. Yeah, he was definitely had a good reputation in the business. He was well loved. And he saw that I had a talent in me and put me in acting classes at a young age, and found out Hanna-Barbera was having auditions for the Little Rascals cartoon. So he came home, woke me up one morning before school, and recorded me in my pajamas. And I wound up booking the role of Spanky. And my mom, who's actually sitting here today, she lives down here in San Diego. My mom still quotes me to this day. I was kind of a stinky little skateboarder, punk rock kid, and when I found out I booked the job, I said, "Oh, Mom, I'm gonna take a shower because I want the director to really like me."
Okay. At least the talent can smell good. Michael.
I think I kind of fell into the whole world of voiceover. I was in New York. I was known as a singer. I did a number of Broadway shows, and one of my agents suggested I start auditioning for voiceover. So I started booking a few commercials for like Gatorade and General Motors, cars and trucks you can count on, and things like that. And then casting people approached me for The Princess and the Frog. Asked me to put myself on tape in my living room, saying a few lines and singing a song, and then it came to be. And also I worked on Book of Mormons, the musical. I created that role of General, I can't say his last name, but from that, people at Comedy Central saw me there and brought me in to do Ugly Americans on Comedy Central, where I played Twain. But the moment I knew that I was in this voiceover thing for good and I fell in love with it was a day working on The Princess and the Frog in New York. I was in New York, they were in LA, we were doing this ISD session, and the scene was cut from the movie, but Louis the alligator was on a riverboat wheel on a boat in the Mississippi, and he was trapped on it. He was going up and down and under the water, and up and under the water. And to do it, I got 2 big jugs of water. And I was saying lines and pouring water down my throat, pouring water down my throat. And finished, and the whole booth was soaking wet. I had water all over me, all over the script, everywhere. And I said to myself, I like this.
The engineer was like, I do not like this.
Well, you see, that's where my story begins. There's a man in Toronto who has a series of photographs, and I'm being coerced into doing this job. I had no desire to do this whatsoever. I can't say anything else. There's a lot of litigation. He's at the back of the room. No, I'm very similar to Gray. I would watch The Tonight Show and get familiar with comics and impressions. Frank Gorshin, one of my favorites, of course, the original Riddler. But most of my impressions were of family members, and I would just love to do caricatures. The voice I do for Thing on the various Marvel animation shows presently is essentially my Uncle Joe, who's greeting to me. I was taller than him from my age 12 on. He was not a tall guy, but he'd always greet me with, "Hey, shorty!" And just a real character, war vet, never talked about, he's a war hero, really. And my dad, his nervous energy, the impression wouldn't do you that great right now. It wouldn't sound like anything else I do. But I would floor my sister every time I would do it. You know, it's like whenever my dad would get wound up, oh, for crying out loud, we'll just have to go to the, well, that was his big thing. Like, clearing your throat? Yeah, no, I'm just upset. Upset. And my sister and I, she would nudge me, and I said, all right, I'll do it. And then my dad would laugh, and it would be, you had to be there. I found a friend of a friend who did voiceover for a living in the Bay Area. It's about 15 years ago. Turns out she taught at a school in Sausalito, voice tracks in Sausalito, where I had been cooking professionally for about 15 years. And turned out I had a knack for it. Not the cooking so much, but the voices. And I like to condense it down to learning how to make my ADD pay. And, yes, thank you. Might have it on my card someday, but some people aren't too impressed. Oh, attention deficit disorder. Maybe we shouldn't hire this man. It's a minute-long script. I can hack it. I don't have to memorize? Perfect.
I hope they pay you or not. You're like, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Like there are no other ADD people in this room, right? Raise your hand. Let's see you. Thank you, both of you. The rest of you are lying.
The ADD people aren't listening at all.
That's right. It's like, oh, it's a shiny thing. We can't do it at the same time. Anyway, I took classes, I started booking stuff within a year, moved to Southern California, to LA about 12 years ago, and haven't regretted a moment. It's been the greatest adventure.
Well, I think Gray kind of summed it up for all of us as far as, you know, as a child, reading the stories out loud to my family and doing all the different voices and I had kind of a sense really early on when I was watching the cartoons, I'm like, I think somebody's doing the voices. I think there are people behind the cartoon doing the voices and I want to be one of them. So I was putting myself on tape and like mailing them to random places as a kid. And I remember when I was like maybe in 7th or 8th grade, I wrote a letter to Andrea Romano that I had found in the back of some book, and I was like, Ms. Romano, my name is Kari and I'm going to move to Los Angeles one day to be a voice actor. I think your directing is really spectacular and I hope to one day work on a show with you. So years later...
You were the most precocious child voice actor I've ever heard.
I was Stewie.
I
was Stewie.
Did she remember you? Did you tell her?
Well, it's kind of creepy in retrospect.
That's sweet.
Hi, I wrote you a letter a lot of years ago. I'm here to audition for you.
I'm standing on your lawn. Can you see me?
So years later, I ended up loved playing Charmcaster in Ben 10 and getting to work with her, and that was like, you know, it's a really cool thing when you kind of come full circle with some of the stuff that you wanted to do from a young age. So that always kind of makes me giggle and sticks in my mind. Stocking pays.
I remember when I first met you in the studio at LA Studios. She was with her parents, and I'd never met you before, and she was like, "Oh my God, are you great?" And of course, I immediately loved her because I was like, "She likes me. I like her. I like anybody who likes me." I could not like somebody, and then they're like, "Oh, you don't like them? They love you." And I'm like, "They do. Oh, I like them."
It was true. It was true. I was trying to play it really cool, and inside I'm like, it's real.
And I immediately just was like, "I love cars."
Yes, and now we're besties.
But yeah, I should have
You want to
killed you
switch
then,
chairs?
though,
Right?
because
You guys can switch chairs. That's great. I'm totally good for that.
Actually, you know, speaking of my parents, when I was on the verge of booking my first big Disney XD series. Did anybody ever watch Super Robot Monkey Team Hyper Force Go? Lady Tomahawk! So I was Nova, the yellow monkey, and I remember it was close to Christmas time, and my parents had come out to visit me and everything, and I went to the Disney lot for my callback, and my dad was with me, and I couldn't get him on the lot. So I sent him to the Wiener Schnitzel across the street, and I was like, "Dad, can you just hang out at Wiener Schnitzel for like 45 minutes, and then I'll come back and get you." So I went in and I did the callback, and then I went and picked up my dad at the Wiener Schnitzel, and happy day, I booked the job, and he was so proud.
And you had hot dogs.
And we had hot dogs, so it was a super day all the way around.
Wiener do attitude.
Yeah.
Wiener Schnitzel is just going to lift your entire story and make an ad out of that.
Yeah.
How much are they paying you,
If
Cara?
anybody from Wiener Schnitzel is here, we'll talk.
Exactly.
So yeah, so just did that. You know, did a number of anime shows and video games, and just knock on wood, they keep hiring me for something. So it's kind of exciting.
It's like, I can say, like, it's, you know, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, I won't say that because anybody under the age of 40 won't know what that term is. Bottle forever! But yeah, no, I mean, I started very early with the impressions. About 4 years old, I am told, I was imitating our neighbor, Mr. Moore. I'm sorry, Mr. Moore. I think he's coming now. Who was from Mississippi. We lived in Indiana. And, you know, so I'd say, "Hey, Bill, are you gonna come over here?" And, you know, whatever. And I was 4 years old, which is a very awkward, strange thing for a 4-year-old child to do. So I'm sure if Mr. Moore ever caught wind of that, he probably was not a big fan of mine. But I just sort of, you know, every time we had a substitute teacher or something like that, I was always the guy that could figure out a little opening of how to impersonate someone. And I just sort of realized I had that skill, and I think sort of in talking about the full circle moments, I was a huge Johnny Carson fan, and I was also a huge David Letterman fan. And so this is sort of, you know, coming full circle. I just recently had a very interesting job where I got to play the voice of David Letterman on the Anna Nicole Smith movie. Yes. Now that part of it wasn't the big thing, but for me, I was just like, I'm getting to play David Letterman, you know, and so it was a top 10 dating Anna Nicole Smith dating tips. Number 9. Forget the nightclubs, check the intensive care unit. Oh, Paul, they don't like that one, Paul. But yeah, the impressions was a big key in for me. And then, you know, some of the original characters that I've done have you know, sort of come off of those impressions. And, you know, about 15 years ago, I was in LA, you know, writing and you know, taking improv classes and things. And I got the craziest call from my writing agent. They said, "Do you want to be on this thing called Family Guy?" I was like, I mean, at that time, no one knew. I was like, what is that? And they said, it's some new cartoon, and they need a Paul Reiser. And so I said, how do they know I do Paul Reiser? And they had somehow gotten this crazy short film I did where I did a Paul Reiser impression, and so they needed Paul Reiser. And so I did Paul Reiser, and then met Seth MacFarlane, who was, you know, a genius and an amazing creative person, and thank God he's continued to hire me back again and again. So that was my entree into this great business, and it's a fun one.
Yeah, impressions are, I really wanted to do stand-up, and I did all these obscure impressions that nobody knew. It was like my high school teachers, my family, people I went to church with, and so I had no act because people were like, I don't know what that is. But in cartoons, it's great because I've been doing the same people that I grew up with for all,
There was this little old lady that went to our church, and she shows up in cartoons all the time because she's got grandchildren, and and
I do her all the time in all different, plug her in all over the place. And like Catwoman, I do Catwoman in Arkham City, the video game. But that was really just the lady that called when I was ditching schools with Greg can't come in today. No, she can't. She's very ill, very sick, and so she can't. So very bad cold. So, all the stuff I was doing little, I just plugged it in different places. I really only have like 8 voices. Some of them have a lisp and some of them have an accent. And that's like pretty much.
All right, it's time to name drop. I'd like you to all answer a question for me now. Our friend Joe, you all know Joe Alasky. Joe Alasky tells this story about he was hired one time to loop Jackie Gleason in a film, and he got to for the Honeymooners clip, and he offered to do the Ed Norton, Art Carney part also. He said, no, we got somebody else who can do a good Ed Norton. He said, well, I do a pretty good Ed Norton. He said, no, we got somebody else. He walks into the studio and doing Ed Norton was Art Carney. All right? Tell us at the time you walked into a studio and you were amazed at who you were working with. You were just impressed. It could be a celebrity, it could be another voice actor. You just are in awe. Tell us brag about somebody you got to work with.
Well, when we were doing Superhero Squad, I got there and there was only one car in the parking lot, and I was like, oh, I wonder who's here. And so I asked the receptionist, I was like, who else is recording? And she was like, oh, Stanley. And I was like, oh, Stanley. I was like, who's Stanley? He only goes by his first name? That's weird. I was like, Star? That's Madonna or something, Stanley. And then I like opened the door and I was like, oh my God, Stan Lee. And so that was, yeah, that was good.
Scott, would you?
On Teen Titans, the first series, Teen Titans, Henry Rollins came in to do a guest star as Johnny Ransom. And I got there early, as I do, and Henry was there early because he's a pro. We're the only 2 people in the lobby at Warner Brothers. I've been a huge fan for years, big punk rock guy. Grew up on Black Flag and his other bands. So I said, excuse me, Henry. He looks at me, he's like, yeah. I said, I'm Scott, we're working together on Teen Titans. He drops it, he's like, oh, hey man, Henry, totally cool. Talked for like a half an hour on a break. I'm asking him, total fanboy, on this album, when you recorded this, I also have the thing that came out in Europe when you guys only released it. And he was so awesome. I said, you have a new book that just came out, I haven't bought it yet. He said, don't buy it, I'll mail it to you tomorrow. It came in the mail like a week later, signed, Scott, awesome working with you, Henry Rollins.
That Scott did, he may not remember, but it was the best cast voice session I ever saw. One of the first cartoon shows I ever voice directed, I was a show I'd written for NBC, and they gave me a list of the voice directors who were available, and said, who would you like to have direct your script? And I looked at the list and I said, none of these. They were the worst choices. All the good people were not available. So I said, I can't do a worse job than these people. Let me direct it. And they went, well, we're not sure. I said, tell you what, if you'll let me direct it, if you'll let me cast whoever I want, I'll direct it for nothing. They said, you got it. So Scott was hired as the juvenile, the kid, there's a kid voice in it, and I cast in this session Dawes Butler, Bill Scott in his first non-J Word role, June Foray, Frank Welker, Marvin Kaplan, Howard Morris, Peter Cullen, and Tress MacNeille. Session.
I remember that session, and my memory, I think this is right, we recorded at night, because I think a lot of people were unavailable. Well, I was a kid, so night was 6 p.m. start time. So I was like, dude, I'm awake at night recording! And I do remember sitting next to Frank Welker, and I remember Dawes Butler being in there, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was, and Scott kept up with him. It was one of your early jobs, and he was terrific at it. Anyway, Michael, who have you worked with?
I guess most of the time I'm by myself, but I do, working on projects. Someone is before me and after me, and I was in New York working on a new movie, Saba, and it was the person in the booth was holding things up. Sharon was her name, and I was like, "What's going on? I got places to go." And it turned out to be Sharon Stone, as she's leaving the booth doing her character, and I go in and do my stuff, and as I leave, there's Whoopi Goldberg outside. So that was pretty cool. Like, hey. But the coolest, you know, my friend, he's my friend now, but I've been a big fan of Jim Cummings. And we in The Princess and the Frog, I never met him until like, you know, well after we finished recording. But even though in the movie we're great friends, Louis the Alligator and Raymond the Firefly. But meeting Jim at the Disney Studios for the first time was very cool. We're friends now, so that's cool too.
The very first episode of Family Guy I did, this must have been 6, 7 years ago. I met a few people. I just walked into the lobby there's a ping pong table and just hanging out, and everywhere I turned there was somebody I was a fan of. And well, first I saw Michael Clark Duncan, God rest his soul, wonderful guy. I got to meet and hang out with him, and Mila Kunis was there. And but coming out of the booth when I was going in was Adam West. And I lost my stuff. I'm usually I've met all my musical heroes, most of them anyways, and I'm always like, hey, it's good to see you. And they're very cool. I was, this is freaking Batman. I'm all right. Nice to meet you, Mr. West. And he's just the sweetest guy in the world, and I didn't ask for an autograph or a picture or anything. I played it professional, but he's walking out the door, and whoever was there on the couch, I can't even remember, said, "That's Batman! Yeah, we know, we work with him." Professional. But yeah, that was a huge, I was very big Batman fan as a kid, and yeah, that was it. I could have died and been happy right there.
Well, I guess this is the epilogue to the Wiener Schnitzel story. So I found out that I had gotten the role of Nova in Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go, and if you know anything about the world of voiceover, then there are certain names that are kind of very legendary, and you know, you just hope and pray one day that you get to work with one or two of these people. And I remember I showed up for the very first recording session for Super Robot, and I walked in, and Patrick Stewart is sitting in the lobby. And I'm like, hi. I'm just signing in for a session. And he's, you know, very charming and chit-chatted and everything like that. And I'm like, okay, wow, I'm in the studio, this is big time. And I go into the recording booth, and it's Tom Kenny from SpongeBob SquarePants, Clancy Brown, Kevin Michael Richardson, Greg Sipes, and Corey Feldman. So not only is it the heavy hitters of voiceover all in one room, but I'm having flashes of, this is our time! This is our time! In my head. And it's just like, oh my God, I've made it! I have made it! I mean, so it was the most...
That's what Corey Feldman was thinking too.
That wasn't his line in the movie, I know, but you know. But so that was like one of those really amazing, overwhelming moments when you kind of walk in and you're like, oh, these are people that I really respect and had only dreamed of working with all in one room, and so it was a mind-blowing experience. And as far as like on-camera people, I think the biggest one that kind of starstruck me a little bit was Alfred Molina. And it was for Life and Times of Tim for HBO. I don't know if anybody watched that. It's a really fun, not under 18 years of age, friendly show. And he's just like, hi, I'm Fred. I'm like, you can quote me on that. That was my really slick quote when I met him. And he was really great. So yeah, that one made my heart skip a beat.
I would say the sort of the first job that I ever got where it was my first animated series. It was a British superhero, really cool series called Dan Dare, Pilot of the Future. Exactly, it's British. I expected that. Where's D. Bradley Baker with his Ricketts Media? And so anyway, I just had no concept really of what this meant to come in and sit down and record in the round, because I had done some Family Guy stuff at that point and some commercials, but that was all solo. You go in, like Dave said, when you go into the Family Guy waiting room, a quick aside, Frank Sinatra Jr. was sitting on the couch in the Family Guy waiting room, and he was with his consigliere, Johnny Pizza. I'm not kidding, that's what he called him. And I sit down and there's Frank Sinatra Jr. and I'm like, this is surreal. Like, what? You were kidnapped and you're the son of Frank Sinatra. It's like I was just reading his Wikipedia page. But he was just like immediately like intimidating and charming and engaging. He was this super high, you get around certain people like that and you're like, oh, I get it, there's some juice coming off that person. And he was like, hey Johnny, what was that concert we went to? The one where my dad performed at Boca Raton or whatever, And Johnny was just this guy who just felt like he just sat there next to Frank Sinatra Jr. and whenever he had a memory lapse, he would just be like, oh yeah, Frank, that was down there in the 6,000 seat theater, the Burt Reynolds place or whatever. I mean, it was crazy, But what was I saying before I got distracted? So Dan Dare. So I sit down, I look to my left, and there's Rob Paulson, who I was very well aware of, and then Maurice LaMarche. And Maurice LaMarche was a very specific influence in the sense that here I was, doing all these impressions, my whole childhood, and I was like, yeah, I do these, but what the heck am I going to do with it? And then he came out on the Rodney Dangerfield special, and he did an incredible 5 or 7 minute set of impressions. I memorized the whole thing. I could have back then done it verbatim. And so I told Rob, I'm like, wow, that's, he said, you gotta tell him, So I told him, and he was very sweet. So that was incredible to meet people that were doing this and had achieved such, high levels. And so it was sort of it was a validation to be sitting there. And there was a lot of English, like Shakespearean actors, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? As Scott, I think, did, I think I held my own. And then I sat next to Tim Curry in that very same booth, and he couldn't have been more humble. He was such a gentleman. I mean, no airs about him. And I thought, man, this is a good business to stick in, because I come from Indiana, and that's kind of, thank you. That's kind of how I was raised. It's kind of grounded and rooted and. So that was pretty big. A couple of other just brief ones. I sat next to CCH Pounder for Justice League, which was incredible. J.K. Simmons. And then one of my favorite was Adam Baldwin, who was in one of my favorite movies from the 80s, My Bodyguard. And I was like, dude, it's My Bodyguard! So there you go.
Great, thank you. By some chance you are unfamiliar with the brilliance that is Maurice LaMarche, he will be on our Cartoon Voice panel tomorrow. On Sunday, it's at 11:30 in room 6A, and he will be joined on that panel by the brilliant Candy Milo, the brilliant Emmy nominee Bob Bergen, as of the other day, Allison Packard, and Neil Ross. Is Allison here? Allison is here? Okay, and Neil Ross. If anybody is interested in getting into voice work someday, go to neilross.com, Neilross, neilross.com, and listen to the demos. That's your competition in this business. He's an amazing talent.
Can I say one thing about working with celebrities? Does anybody else do this where you're so worried about being like, about them that you just ignore them completely and you're kind of a jerk? Like, I feel like every celebrity I've ever worked with probably thinks I'm just a jerk because I was thinking, don't pay attention to them because that's not what they want. I don't know. I did. That's the same with when I was dating. I was like, if I really liked you, if I never looked at you or ever paid any attention to you, those people I like the most. Anyway. Like, you have no interest in me? Okay, great, let's go out.
We did a Garfield episode years ago, and I had this about a black prize fighter who couldn't stop eating, and we're running through the script. The actor who was playing the part hadn't arrived yet, and Lorenzo Music, who was then Garfield, turns to me and says, "Who have you got playing the prize fighter, the heavyweight champion who can't stop eating?" And just then George Foreman walked in. He wanted to do a cartoon. I brought George Foreman to do this, and half the actors kind of went like, we better not say anything, he might hit us. A little intimidated.
All the young people are like, the guy that made the grill? That's awesome.
Does anybody here have a story about doing, this would probably be a video game experience, going home from the session hoarse, having had to scream and die for hours on end? Somebody here must have a story about that.
It happened yesterday. It could be a challenge at times physically to do stuff. We're usually they let us know ahead of time if it's going to be a rough session, and almost invariably now, it wasn't always the case, but now more than ever, I have great agents and they check these things out. And, if it's going to be very stressful voice work, they'll break it up over a couple of days. But yeah, I did a reference to the Call of Duty 2 character that I did, and that guy, he's got his high energy every single line. It's always over some sort of action, so you have to be heard and project over action, and it's a little higher in my range. And we go for several hours, and maybe do 2 days in a row, and by then, that's, yeah, eat some Advil, drink some hot tea, and go to bed, and don't talk on the phone. But it's never, at least not anymore, it's never gotten to the point where I feel like I'm going to damage myself, but it's really hard, and I'm dripping sweat and falling over and lying down, you know. It can be challenging.
Dave, could you give us one take of a dying scene in a video game? You've just been stabbed multiple times by arrows and set on fire.
And on fire?
And you're on fire.
Oh. Okay.
People do here now. That was to warm him up. We're going to do a script here. Those of you who've been here before, it's the same script as last year and the same script as the year before. I find it easier to change the actors than to change the script. You pass pencils down. Everybody.
I feel special.
Snow White.
This is what's called a cold reading. These people have not seen this script before. I don't think any of them know what we're going to do here now.
We earned those passes, Mark.
That's right. That's how we do it.
I'll give you 3 passes. Come up here and make a fool out of yourself.
I am going to assign the roles here one by one, and my cards are all out of order. Here we go. And we're going to give them a few minutes to mark their scripts, but not many. So this is the story of Snow White. Greg, congratulations. You're Snow White. Scott, you are dwarf number 3, dwarf number 6, and the prince. You know? Michael, you are the narrator. Dave, you are dwarf number 1, dwarf number 4, dwarf number 7, and the huntsman. Evil queen. Probably there is someone in this audience right now who would love to have a career in cartoon voices. I have a pet thing here that bothers the hell out of me. There are some wonderful voice coaches around. There are wonderful teachers. There's some excellent ones. There are also some people who will take all your money, promise you can be Rob Paulson in 48 hours, and destroy your life. I don't like these people. They charge a lot of money for giving you very bad information. We do a panel here every year on Sunday. It's at 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. It is in room 25 ABC, which usually fills up. It's called The Business of Cartoon Voices. I used to host it with a wonderful gentleman named Earl Kress, a fine animation writer friend of mine who used to co-host these with me. We all remember Earl, lovely man who's left us. We're going to have on the panel some agents. We're going to have on the panel some voice actors. This is not a panel for entertainment. Nobody's going to be doing shtick and telling funny stories. In fact, they'll be telling you some horror stories probably about the business. how to get into it, what it's like, what the odds are, demos, agents, classes, things of that sort. If you're interested in that, it's free. I feel like we want to give people some free advice, and we're going to give you all the information in like an hour and a half that you would get if you went to a lot of people and gave them $5,000. That is, this is the Cartoon Voices. It is in room 25 ABC at 3 o'clock tomorrow. The program on the schedule says it's an hour panel, but it's actually an hour and a half. And if you're interested, be there. Cast, you are going to have to start here. Even though you have, as soon as you finish marking. Now, this is a very boring script. It's intentionally so. Do whatever you want to it to make it interesting. If I feel you are into an unusual dead end creatively, I may ask you to change voices. I'll play director and ask you to just change to something else. All right?
We'll see.
Usually, we don't do this to them. Usually, we give them a little time to read the script and study it, rehearse it, maybe read it in advance. But we're hoping that they mess up a lot here. All right?
Ready?
All you get, Michael, you have the first line, I believe, and the narrator doesn't have to read every line the same. You can be a different guy each time if you feel like it.
Okay. Snow White. Once upon a time, long, long ago, there was an evil queen who studied dark magic. She was very vain, and each day, she would go to her magic mirror and ask the same question.
Magic mirror on the wall, who's the fairest one of all?
And each time, the mirror would give her the same reply.
Thou, O Queen, are the fairest of all.
This pleased the queen greatly, as she knew that her magic mirror could speak not but the truth. Then one day, the answer changed.
Magic mirror. I'm feeling especially delectable today. Magic mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?
Well, you know, my queen, you were very fair. I mean, that's true. You're definitely fair. I mean, no one can deny that. But Snow White, I gotta give it to her. She's even fairer than you.
What are you saying to
I'm
me?
sorry. This is the truth.
Snow White.
Snow White was her stepdaughter, a lass of extraordinary beauty that had recently blossomed.
What is wrong, stepmother dear?
Oh, nothing, Snow White dear. I'm just 30 years older and have a lot of cellulite. Run along and do your chores.
She summoned her huntsman to the royal chambers to give him an order.
Hi there, Pierre.
Hi.
Listen, sweetheart, why don't you just take little Snow White into the forest?
Okay.
And, you know, pick some flowers.
Let me get a pencil, hold on. Okay, go ahead.
Take Snow White into the forest.
Forest, yes. That's 1 hour or 2 hours in there.
And kill her.
Your Majesty, I cannot do such a thing.
I don't think you can. Okay? You're gonna follow my orders, Huntsman, and you will bring me her heart as proof that you have complied.
No. That husband took Snow White in the forest as ordered and tried to kill her. He managed to draw his knife before his conscience seized control.
No. I cannot do it.
Cannot do what, noble huntsman?
I cannot kill you as the queen ordered. She's making me do this. You're beautiful.
The queen wishes me dead?
It's just a jealous thing. Yeah, Snow White, now you must run. Run like a little girl through a field. Run deep into the forest with 1 arm and hide. Take her instead the heart of a wild boar and tell her it's yours. You think it'll work?
Thank you, noble huntsman.
Oh, was sweating.
Snow White fled deep into the forest and ran for hours. As evening was about to fall, she came across a little house and went inside and ordered a rest.
I'm Snow White. I wonder who lives here. Well, they are. They're small and tiny. 7 little plates, 7 little chairs, 7 little beds.
She helped herself to food, then curled up for a nap at one of the beds and fall fast asleep. Before long, the owners of the home returned. All 7 of them.
Looks like someone has broken into our home while we were at the mine.
Yeah, and it seems someone's been drinking our milk.
Say, someone's been eating our bread.
Someone has been sitting in my chair. Who could it possibly be?
Who is that sleeping in my bed?
It is the woman of great beauty.
Who this?
We're dwarves. We are 7 in number. Count us.
Say, who are you? What are you doing in my bed?
Snow White explained about how her stepmother, the evil queen, had told the huntsman to kill her.
That is absolutely terrible.
If you're gonna let me stay, I can be very handy to have around.
We must protect this lovely child.
If she stays here, we can protect her.
Oh,
You idiot.
she can stay here as long as she likes.
Oh, thank you all.
And Snow White stayed with the dwarves, cooking and cleaning for them.
Like a damn ass maid.
It was a fine arrangement until the next day when the queen asked her mirror.
Two can play at this game.
Magic mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all?
You know, again, you keep asking me the same question here. And, you know, all I have to say is that you are very fair. That's true. But Snow White, who, by the way, lives in the mountains, have you been to the mountains lately? They're so beautiful in the fall. The snow sort of just starts compiling on the rock. I don't know, I'm not much of a camper, but anyway. You are very fair, but Snow White, who lives with those 7 little guys, she's 1,000 times fairer than you. Snow White lives forevermore. The heart belonged once to a boar, which I can't eat because I'm kosher, so...
If you want something done, you do it yourself. I will finish it off. Me! I go into my lair of witchcraft, which narrator will tell you about.
Yes, the queen went into her lair of witchcraft. She also transformed herself into an old beggar woman. The next morning, after the dwarves went off to work at the mine.
I'm humble just because, I'm humble just because I do my bad. Oh, I was just singing. Oh, hello, little squirrel. Hello, little deer. I'll feed you in a minute. First, I must finish sweeping my home with my benefactors, the 7 dwarves.
Young woman, can I come in just for a minute?
It's gonna be Vicky now.
I must not let anyone in! The 7 dwarves have forbidden me to do so! Oh, you're so cute. I just only wanted to share my apples with you. You like apples, don't you? Don't you? Well, they do look very delicious.
Snow White knew she Snow White knew she should not accept a gift from a stranger, but she was tempted and took a bite.
That is a wonderful apple. Skin is white as snow, lips as red as blood, hair as black as ebony wood. Booyah!
What a good it did you, huh? She will sleep for all eternity.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too.
And so the evil queen fled. Hours later, when the dwarfs headed home from the mine,
Dude, OMG, I hope Snow White has dinner ready, man.
What she's making, man.
Doesn't matter, dude. Whatever she's making, we're gonna eat it because we're starving.
Straight up, it's still better than your cooking.
Yeah, what's wrong with my cooking?
There is nothing wrong with your cooking except for the fact that it totally makes me barf, so that might be part of what's wrong with it.
Guys, don't fight, okay? Now that we're home, let's be pleasant for Snow White.
and that is when they saw her. They tried to revive her with all their might, but it was too late, and that left them the sad task.
What's on TV, man?
I don't know what's on TV, but before we watch, we will have to bury her.
We can't bury her. I mean, look at her rosy cheeks, man. How does she do that? Her skin, I mean, doesn't she? She must have like SPF 3000. Look at my skin, man. It's like that.
She is dead of form, but not of spinach.
What can we do?
I don't know. You're the idea man. You come up with something.
Well, we do have a coffin of glass and gold.
Brilliant.
That would be me!
Yes, you.
Yes!
Continue with
We will
your...
build it out of love and...
Dare I say, respect.
Such a coffin was built, and they placed Snow White's still form inside. She was dead, y'all.
Tell me about it.
At least one dwarf stood vigil upon it, and then one day, many months later, a stranger happened by.
Stranger danger! Stranger danger! Who are you?
I am Prince John of the Kingdom over yonder hill. I have heard of a maiden of fair form and beauty. That obviously is she.
Too late, Prince.
It would take a miracle to revive her.
Have you a miracle, your majesty? Have you? A miracle?
Wake up! Wake up!
Question I'm asking.
I forgot to mark that one.
Your majesty, do you need the royal page marker?
Yes.
So hard to find a good page marker these days. Only the miracle of true love. Stand aside, my good men.
The prince opened a casket of golden glass and applied a loving kiss to the lips that were red as blood. Ugh, that's nasty. For long moments, nothing happened. But then,
Wow, 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 everybody! Who are you?
I am Prince John, and I know who you are. I've been stalking you. You are the woman I have dreamed of for all my life. The woman I shall make my bride if you will have me.
Oh, Archie, is it all right if I say yes?
It is dear, now we in town, say yes.
Oh my goodness.
and so they were married. And when the evil queen attempted to attend the ceremony, the prince had her seized and thrown in the dungeon.
Anyway, I'm on the list. I'm on the list.
I don't see you here. It doesn't say +1.
The priest is going to marry them. you notice I didn't assign him the role of priest here. This role requires great presence. It requires someone who has official and authority. And he did something. I'm afraid we need another actor up here. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you one of the legends of children's television, Mr. Chuck McCann. Come on, Chuck. Jeff, you're the priest. Have a seat. Priest? You're the priest.
Oh, okay.
All right. Mark this good for you.
Ready?
Okay.
All right, wait till I put on my bisecticals. have bisecticals when you're my age. There you go. All right.
I see him all the time at Voice Tracks West, and I'm a jerk to him because I don't want him to know that I love him. Secret's out.
I actually saw you at the rest stop on the way down here, Chuck, this morning, and I wanted to go, Chuck McCann, but I went, nah, I'm not gonna get up all in this grill, but I saw you at the rest stop, so.
A bunch of those jerks that you met earlier.
I was in the shower with you this morning, Chuck. Wonderful. You can scrub a back like nobody else. Flattering me. Oh, my God. Okay. Sorry.
Hi, Mark. Hi, Chuck. You're the priest. Read the line.
Okay. A real distinctive voice?
Let's see. Just try something. We'll find it. We'll find it.
Okay. My priest. Did you ever go to St. Mary's at the cartoon? It's a wonderful place. Do you, Prince John, take this woman to be your bride?
I don't know my line. Page marker! I do.
And do you, give me a Snow White, take this man to be your groom?
It's a man!
Well then, silly, I now present you both man and wife, and you can kiss the bride, but I'll kiss the groom, okay?
And so they lived, say it with me guys, happily ever after.
I want to say there is a future for this business. Aren't they wonderful?
Chuck, tell these people some of the cartoon shows you did voices. Chuck has done so much, wasn't cartoon voices. We're just going to talk about his cartoon voices.
Well, I'm Ben Grimm. The thing is clubber time. I'm also Gramps, and I created Sonny. Come here, Sonny, get your Cocoa Puffs.
Okay, Gramps, I'm cool for Cocoa Puffs, cool for Cocoa Puffs, cool for Cocoa Puffs.
Oh, and Duckworth on DuckTales.
The Beagle Boys
and about 2,000 others. But I won't bore you with them all. Thank you very much. Oh, you are so sweet.
Those of you who grew up in New York, Chuck did maybe the greatest kids show ever on New York television. It was a show that not only was just very funny, it was live, and for a long time it was this great double feature on TV. It was Soupy Sales and Chuck McCann, back to back. And on this show, Chuck invented, they gave this man an hour of live television every day, and he invented things that other TV shows were stealing and putting on in prime time. And sometimes they gave him credit, often they did not. He's one of the most innovative people I've ever met in the business.
Thank you, Brad.
And I'm going to plug here, he didn't want to do this, I'm going to plug the fact that Chuck has written a book about those days.
No.
Called, shut up. Let's Have Fun Scrapbook. This is a whole book about his days in television. It also comes with a DVD of things, because one of the great things about Chuck as a film historian, sort of the founding members of the Laurel and Hardy Society, the Sons of the Desert, and he was a good friend of Stan Laurel. And here, anytime you see two guys in a commercial doing Laurel and Hardy, he was probably Hardy and Jim McGeorge was probably Stan Laurel.
Well, sometimes I did them both. My say.
Oh! Hey, Chuck, go to me in a second and tell them where they can get this lovely book, which looks like this.
Well, Amazon, I'll tell you, but I did bring a few with me today. And if you're interested, it's also on Amazon. It comes with a DVD, so it's like $49 at Amazon. But I'm selling it for $25 if you want one. I brought a bunch of them, about 15 or 20, so anybody gets...
And he'll sign them for you all.
Yeah. You're welcome. I'll be in the cafeteria at the table. And so just come in. If you don't, that's okay
in the
too.
shower, Chuck?
Huh?
Shouldn't we sign him in the shower, Chuck?
I did that this morning, but they got wet. You know it. That was a terrible idea.
Just tell them the names of some of the other shows you did voices on. Batfink. You were on
Everything Hanna-Barbera did. I guess over the years.
Smurfs. You were on
all of them. Yogi Bear. Oh God.
This man was the villain on Scooby-Doo about 30 times over the years.
And of course on his wonderful show, that wonderful cat Garfield, I've done that many times with your group. Oh gosh, I don't know, it goes back. Actually, I started with puppets. And I still have like 400 puppets, and I'm going up on the internet and doing some of that stuff on. If you want, it's chuckmccann.net. If you go into my website, or come in on Facebook and friend me at chuckmccann.net. Just go into Facebook, and I'd be more than happy. You'll see all the stuff in there. So there's tons of stuff. I put about 200, there's a Chuck McCann Club where I put up about 200 episodes of various stuff. So, yeah, I mean, really funny stuff over the years that I've done. And I have a new group called the Ragtag Players, and I'm doing all kinds of wild bits with them and sketches, and I'm moving it forward like he does. I pass it forward to help young people get some material for their reels and stuff like that. So I direct them and stuff, and I do that for nothing. I mean, I just love doing it, you know. I love being alive. I love getting out of bed, you know. You'll find out.
And Chuck recently had a recurring role in the Boston Legal Show as Judge Thud. He's been in almost all of Mel Brooks's movies over the years. There's a movie that runs on Turner Classic Movies once every two months or so called The Projectionist that this man started.
It's in the Museum of Modern Art. I'm hanging in the museum. That's nice. And but anyway, The Hardy's Lonely 100, bunch of films I've done over the years. Love making movies. That's great fun. And still doing it, so I can't complain. Out with Tim Conway now. I'm running around the country doing what Harvey Korman did. We go and do the. Tim Conway is one of the funniest men. If you ever saw the Carbonette Show, a lot of people. We're out, two 80-year-old men running around doing this craziness. You know, it's fun. We're mentally 12 years old. You know, you'll find out. Oh yeah. Oh. You know, and it goes by like this. So enjoy yourselves, man. Take the most of every day. Make the most of it. You know, there's a man with a beard who understands what I'm saying, and he's half my age. So, no, it goes fast. So just enjoy life, man. Have fun. And be kind to each other. That's the most important. Stop all the fooling around and the fighting. That's stupid. You know, enjoy each other. Give each other a hug. Go ahead. Come on. Right now. I want you to give each other a hug. That's what it's all about. You better believe it.
Not the hokey pokey.
Well, we are out of time here. Would you join me in thanking Mr. Chuck McCann for joining us?